we've now configured an IEEE 802.1q trunk between a couple of our switches, and we can see from this output on screen, the show interface trunk output, that our native VLAN is 1. That's the default native VLAN. We may, as part of our design, want to change the native VLAN. If we do that, the other end of the trunk needs to agree what the native VLAN is. Otherwise, if I send an untagged frame to that other switch, and it sees that untagged frame, it's going to assume that that frame belongs to the native VLAN according to the other switch. If I think the native VLAN is 100 and the other switch thinks the native VLAN is 200, then that's going to do something called VLAN hopping. We don't want that to happen. Let's make sure that both switches agree on the native VLAN. Here's how we change it. Let's go into interface configuration mode for our trunk port. It's Fast Ethernet 1/0/2, and I'm going to say switch port trunk, and using context sensitive help, we see that we can specify our native VLAN. We'll say native VLAN, and let's make the native VLAN 100. And we're getting some error messages on the screen. It says that we're inconsistent with our peer. This is not good. We need to go set the native VLAN on the far end. Let's just make sure that we have set the native VLAN on this switch. Let's do a show interface trunk, and we can see that our native VLAN is 100. Let's go to switch 2. On switch 2, let's do a show interfaces trunk. We're still set to a native VLAN of 1. Let's change that. Let's go into interface gigabit 0/10 on switch 2, and let's say switch port trunk native VLAN 100. And we saw that we got a native VLAN mismatch error message on SW2. That should be resolved now. Everything should be good. Let's confirm it. Let's do a show interface trunk. Let's make sure we have a native VLAN of 100 on SW2. And we're starting to see some spanning tree restored commands. Those are good messages. We haven't talked about spanning tree yet, but those are good messages to see that something has been restored. And it looks like everything is up and happy on switch SW1 again as well. What we've done in this short video is to show you how to specify a non-default native, in other words an untagged VLAN, going over a trunk.